Hello everyone and welcome back to another Shonen Archive Gaiden. What's Shonen Archive Gaiden? Well, thank you for asking. Shonen Archive is a series in which me and Zenrot plan to eventually watch every single Shonen Jump series that is available to us in English. But then something happened. Zen has been locked away, hopefully returning soon enough. We were almost close to returning a couple weeks back, but then I got really sick, and then Zen needed more time for something. So we're gonna give it another. It's gonna be a while, but hopefully we'll get back in the year 2025 to regular Shonen Archive. So that's why I started Shonen Archive Gaiden, which is a way for me to talk about Shonen Archive, Shonen Jump stuff. That is usually stuff that me and Zen wouldn't cover just because it's not the actual anime, it's all the stuff around it. And in this case, the thing I'm going to be talking about that's around it is Universal FanFest Nights, which came over to our side and was able to bring over One Piece and JJk Kaisen. So that's going to be today's video. So get ready and then strap in and get ready to hear me talk about it. So yeah, just to give a little bit of what's going on, why was JJk Kaisen and One Piece at Universal Studios? What even is Universal Studios? Well, Universal Studios Hollywood, I should say. I can say that Universal Studios Hollywood, if you don't know, is a theme park that also has a really great tram ride because it's also a what's the word for it? It's also a film studio, along with also being a theme park. If you've never heard of it before, very popular over here, and they have a couple different places across the world that have Universal Studios as well, such as Florida, and in this case, Japan. And over in Japan, they have a seasonal event called Cool Japan. And during Cool Japan, they have a bunch of different Japanese franchise come in and be a part of the park, such as Sailor Moon, Evangelion, Shin Godzilla, Attack on Titan, One Piece, Detective Conan, Lupin the Third, Monster Hunter, JJk, and Demon Slayer, along with Final Fantasy. And then also, funny enough, their Horror Nights, they have a couple of other Japanese franchises during it as well, such as JJk no Kitaro, Resident Evil, and Chainsaw Man, where they have like a full 4D thing for Chainsaw Man. And the same thing is true for JJk, and the One Piece 4K ride is actually coming to Japan this year in summer. All really cool stuff that we don't usually get because obviously we don't really focus on a lot of that. But then for this year, they did something called FanFest, where they brought in a bunch of different franchises and just let a bunch of fans come in at night and experience things that are usually not around. So let me see if I can quickly show you what the FanFest stuff is. I have the site pulled up. Give me a sec. One moment. There it is. So yes, they did a FanFest Nights, and in this one there was Star Trek, Dungeons and Dragons, JJk, One Piece, Yoshi, Back to the Future, and some specific creatures were at the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. And this is also something they've started doing here because they have not done a FanFest before in the past, and if I'd known, I would have been nice to know. But over in FanFest, it allowed them to kind of bring over a bunch of stuff, and maybe they're testing the waters to see if any of it really sticks around and kind of is maybe part of the park. But for the time being, a lot of these things are basically seen as like this is happening for one night, and then they're not coming back to the park, assumedly so anyway. We'll see. Maybe if it's successful enough, they'll see that there's a demand for it and stuff like that. So yeah, so let me talk about my FanFest experience, basically. So we actually went there because it was a week after my birthday, and for my birthday, I would love to go to FanFest. And in general, I love going to theme parks. We usually like going to the theme parks for any of our birthdays. It's a good excuse for us to go and go do it. But for this one, it was like, oh, FanFest is happening. Cool, we'll go and do that. I see JJk and One Piece, and funny enough, when I got there, I realized, oh, wait a minute, I can talk about this on Shonen Archive Gaiden. This is a Shonen Jump thing, so we can totally talk about it. So, of course, with that in mind, the first thing that we did was immediately actually go over to Yoshi, to go over to the Nintendo stuff, because if you I guess I kind of not really a fun fact. Apparently, we're not getting Yoshi anytime soon over here in Hollywood. The reason being is that there's not enough space for Yoshi. So, other parks have Yoshi, such as the Japanese Universal Studios, and the Florida one, I believe, is going to have Yoshi. But we don't get to have them because we don't have a lot of space for them. Even our Nintendo Land, compared to the other ones, is apparently very small. Even though whenever I've entered a Nintendo Land, it's been really awesome and really cool. If you see the footage of the Japanese one, there's so much more space to go everywhere and do all that. Uh, so we went to go do that. Went to go see Sup to Yoshi. That was really fun. And then from that point on, we decided to go do the other things. Um, the only things we weren't able to actually see were Star Trek and the Back to the Future, because to go to the Back to the Future one is also a real shame to miss out on, because obviously you get to go onto the actual studio where they filmed the ending to Back to the Future, and also a bunch of different parts of Back to the Future as well. Plus, if you've been a big fan of Universal Studios, like back when I was a kid, they had so where Simpsons Ride is now, before then it was Back to the Future, and that was actually the first time I had ever experienced Back to the Future, was that ride. So I was very confused, but that ride was awesome. So I said, this movie series must be as awesome as this ride is, and I was right. It was, because I believe I believe Zemeckis also filmed that one. There's actually a whole different history of all the different things they filmed for that ride, because they actually got the director back to go do it, and it was like the story had changed throughout the entire making of it. It's very fascinating. But point is, we missed it. For Star Trek, it was because it was later into the night, and I was very what's the word I'm looking for? Fucking tired. There you go. So we we decided to go home rather than to go through and walk through the experience. So there you go. We started with Yoshi. We actually weren't able to meet him on time, because the line for Yoshi was insane. It was huge. It was like, it wasn't that it was a huge line. They cut off the line. So they asked you to show up 5 minutes before the next showtime, which was typically at a interval of 7:30 p.m., 8 p.m., 8:30 p.m. So they would ask you show up at 7:55 or something like that, 5 minutes beforehand, to get into the line. So we ended up trying to go into Mario Karts. I wasn't able to fit on it because my legs weren't working with the ride. So they asked me, "Sir, can you please get off?" So I said, "Sure." My brother and sister think that I could have likely fit in the back if we tried a little bit more. But then when I tried to leave to do what they asked, they were getting really weird and being like, "Hey, sir, please sit down." I was like, "Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna." Now they've unfortunately caused the scene, so I would much rather just be calm, collected, and then start making my way down. And on the way down, I saw that Yoshi had, like, it was like 2 minutes before Yoshi was gonna start accepting lines. So I went to go wait, and it's a good thing, because the second I showed up, they cut off the line, and it had hit exactly 7:55. So the time they told everyone come back by, it had already been, like, completely done. So I waited in line there. I met Mario and Luigi while I was waiting. Luigi asked for a high five, and I got to high five him, and that was fucking sweet. It was real awesome. And Yoshi came out, and we took our pictures, and then we went off to go do the other things that we wanted. Uh, the next thing I would have definitely. So the funny thing is that when we got on there, I was thinking, oh, we should do JJK. But when we started, the line for the JJK ride, which, if you've ever been to Universal Studios Hollywood, it's where the Kung Fu Panda, formerly the Shrek Theater, is. It was a 55-minute wait. Everyone, there were a lot of anime fans at Universal Studios. And I know that they were anime fans because obviously they had the backpack and stuff, but they were also inviting in cosplayers, because I think they were having a cosplay contest at some point in it. I remember walking into it for a brief moment when we were going towards JJK near the end of the night. But yeah, there were a lot of One Piece and JJK fans out there, and they had it was crazy because all of them also had the merch. It was really is maybe the most I've ever seen the Chopper hat live out and in public. Well, let me see if I can show the Chopper hat here. I wonder if they would have it on the get details side of it. Let's find out. See if I can show the merch here just to go down a bit. No, unfortunate. It does say One Piece strip. But the point is, it's Chopper's hat. If you've ever seen Chopper, Tony Chopper, you know how the hat looks like. There was a lot of people wearing that hat. There was a lot of people wearing Divine Dog, which is Megumi's one of Megumi's summons from JJk. There was a lot of people wearing that. And in general, there was a lot of people ready to go. Like, I've never seen an hour wait time for anything in the Shrek area ever. Like, that's usually a ride you go on because you're like, is it about to start? Yes. Okay, let me just walk in and sit down. And it's not even Shrek anymore. It's Kung Fu Panda. So you're watching Kung Fu. Is DreamWorks Theater now? Is that what they've changed it to? Okay, it's DreamWorks Theater, so you can go in there and the wait line have a bunch of stuff like that. But typically, it's not more than like maybe 15 minutes. I don't think I've ever seen it more than 30. Maybe on a really busy day, early in the middle of the day, it gets to 30. But that was the first time I've ever seen it at 50 minutes. So that's why we decided to go, hey, we'll go with Yoshi because Yoshi doesn't have... Yoshi's here for a limited time compared to the others. So make sure to go get it. So after we finish that... we were going to go head off our way and go to... actually, next was actually Dungeons & Dragons, because it was, like, right next to Nintendo Land. So we went on that, and that was cool, but that also was a little bit weird, because I feel like... so it's like a... what's the way of saying it? It's like kind of like an interactive thing, where you kind of walk around it. The best way I could kind of explain is, like, it's kind of like when you go to a Halloween Horror Nights maze, except for instead of scares... you're trying to have an adventure, and there's, like, actors in there, and you're, like, talking with them. Well, not talking with them directly. They're, like, talking at you, and sometimes they'll talk to someone in the crowd and stuff like that, and you kind of move forward. There was a really cool beholder puppet, or animatronic. I thought we said it was a puppet, because it seemed like it had too much articulation points for it to be an animatronic. If it was an animatronic, that was an insane fucking animatronic. But the Beholder, if you don't know Dungeons and Dragons, it's the giant floating eye thing. You fight it in Baldur's Gate. It's a pretty classic enemy. It's the only thing that has like it looks like kind of like a snake head with one eye. But yeah, at one point we saw it, and when it showed up, I was like, holy shit, that thing is amazing to look at. And it shoots like little beams and stuff like that. But that was a very cute thing as you went there. They tried to make it seem like kind of like it's someone forming up a D&D party. But when it's like trying to form a D&D party, but with like 50 people all inside of a room. So that was neat. So we finished that, and then we made our way back up. There was a DJ trying to hype people up as we were going through, and no one was responding back to them, which was pretty sad. If I had heard them saying, hey, put your hands in the air or something like that, maybe I would have said something back to them, but I didn't at that point. So we made our way back up, and we were going to go to JJk next. But before then, we decided to stop at The Simpsons, and my sister also at one point wanted to go to Harry Potter, so she can go do the ride there, and we can sit down and wait for her, because there was plenty of time. At this point, I think it maybe hit midnight. So we had plenty of time still to go do... No, it wouldn't even have been midnight. It would have been around 11. It was around 11. Because it was around midnight when we were leaving, yes. So it was around 11. We had plenty of time to do almost everything. So we decided to go to the Simpsons ride, because the Simpsons ride is really awesome. And even though it's very old now, I don't know how much longer we're going to have Simpsons. Just because, hey, you're probably wondering, how does Universal Studios have Simpsons ride? Isn't that owned by Disney? And the answer is, yes, it is. They own the theme park license, and they're losing it pretty soon. Like in the next, I think they said by 2028. So they have to probably by 2026 take down the Simpsons ride, so that in 2 years' time they have something new to replace it with, is what I would assume. Which is a damn shame, because if you're a Simpsons fan, it's a great little area there. But they haven't also updated it in a very long time, probably because they realized there's not a lot of point. Um, we're gonna lose a lot of these places pretty soon. It's not like they also have the rights. If you don't know this, also in the Florida park, they have the rights to the Marvel licensing stuff there as well. But only for, I think they said the name Marvel. So somehow they got around it by saying this is Avengers Campus and not Marvel Campus. So
No, they don't have Marvel at all.
and over in Florida, but they can over here.
Yes.
Okay, that's the thing. So they can still do stuff with Marvel over here, but they can't do it over there. Again, the various rights things is hilarious to think about. But for that one over there, I don't think they have. I think it's almost like in perpetuity. As long as they keep paying for it, it's fine. It's not going to go away anywhere. But it's similar to The Simpsons. They don't update it as much as they can because it's like, well, if anything happens, then we're kind of screwed. So it's a lot of like old stuff over in Islands of Adventure, if I remember correctly. But anyway, we went to the Simpsons ride. It's a fun old ride, except for in this case, it broke down while we were on it, and that was a fun experience for me and my brother, and a little bit scary for my sister, but it was okay because she was sitting in the back, so she didn't get to see what we saw, which is when so if you've never been on the ride, you go onto the ride, and then you get lifted up, and then there's like a giant projection screen, and then like you move around a whole bunch, and you twist and turn and stuff like that. But near the end of the ride, you start going down. That way that the illusion can be kept up and stuff like that. We didn't go down. We watched everyone else go down, and then we stayed up. And I thought it was cool because we got to see the giant projection, and we could see like to the side of us where everyone else sitted. And then as people were leaving, I got to say to them, "Help! We're we're up here. We're still up here." That was very fun. The only time it got a little bit scary is that as they were getting us off, because at some point we started talking about like, oh, we could probably just like get off of it and like go to the. They're probably gonna come get us, and then we can walk to the side and stuff like that. And then that's when a guy on the intercom said, "Please stay inside the vehicle. We will get you down shortly," which I guess is their way of saying like, "Please don't try anything." They didn't say anything until we started talking about like how we gonna leave off of here. And then we finally got off. They said, "We're so sorry for the inconvenience. Would you like to ride the ride again?" And because it was the FanFest night and we had other stuff to go to, I said, "No, it's fine. It's okay. Thank you very much for getting us down. It's nothing too bad." But it is funny because as we were going up there, there was technical difficulties at the start, and it was also one of the very few times that it was only the three of us. There was no one else with us because usually it can fit up to, I want to say, 8 people. Yeah, it can fit up to 8 people, but they just let us 3 in there, so it was just us 3 alone, and we were the only ones that got stuck. Nobody else got stuck. It was very funny, but that one experience was enough to be like, okay, well, my sister was gonna go by herself to Harry Potter just because me and my brother don't currently fit on it. So she was gonna go by herself, but then after that, she's like, I'm not going by myself. So we headed off to go do JJk, and on the way to JJk, there's also One Piece stuff. So the One Piece, the thing that they had basically was just like merch, meet and greets, and the cantina was themed to be Sanji. So they had a bunch of Mexican food, but all the Mexican food was One Piece themed, and that made it okay because, you know, obviously Luffy's Mexican now, so it's okay. They said it's all right. It all works out. We agree. Everyone's like, yeah, Luffy, he's one of us. We all support the live actor who currently plays him. We love him. We accept him. And as such, we accept Monkey D. Luffy as one of our own. So I got to see that. As we were waiting, I took a picture of the line because the line was fucking huge almost every single time. I don't think I've ever seen the cantina that full of any people to go get some cantina food. It was kind of crazy to see that many people go there and just like wait in line for it just to get some like Luffy themed tacos. Probably a good sign that they should just bring One Piece back again, and this time let them have the 4D theater. The one thing that's kind of bad is that we only have one 4D theater. So even if they started doing more of these fan fests more often, there's only one 4D theater. So therefore, only one of them can really go in there at any given time. Unless they wanted to like specifically square it off and do something like they do in Japan, which is have Chainsaw Man be there for Horror Nights. But yeah, we went to go do JJK. As we went in there, there was a dude suited up like he was one of the sorcerer dudes that is in a business suit who was like, "Oh yes, welcome in here to sorcerers, upcoming sorcerers." And that's when we got to see the. Let me see if it has it here. The name of the actual. I think it was like. I keep wanting to call it Curse Clash, but no, that's the name of the bad fighting game, featuring JJJ. What was it?
Hunger of the Curse.
Hunger of the Curse. Okay, it's not named on here at all. Is it?
Go to the top.
Hunger of the Cursed. There you go. So yeah, Hunger of the Curse. So we went to go see that. And along the way, the theater had a bunch of JJK posters on it. Usually it was just 3 of them, but it was the 3 that were used for the movies. They didn't have Jujutsu Kaisen 0 as one of them. They just have the ones for the current seasons that they have for it. They also didn't change out any of the Poe stuff, which was funny because it made it seem like everyone was just really happy to be in Poe's place and check out everything. But yeah, there was like a little pre-show with JJK where they talked about like we're gonna go on a mission, and then they said in there, "Where's Gojo? Is Gojo gonna be with us?" They said no, he's visiting Universal Studios Japan while we're doing this, and instead we're gonna have Toto with us. Which I thought was cool as I was going on there. Yeah, got a crowd pop. People love Toto. The people love Toto. So it started. They let us in. Before then, there's a fat guy who says, "Come join my our school," because the reason they're investigating it is that there is a school. This guy who's saying he's gonna have a school for sorcerers, and he's inviting a bunch of people in there. But it's weird because they're doing it out in public. So they want to investigate it to see if there's anything funky with it. And he says like, "Oh yeah, all of you have excellent cursed energy and everything you want to go in here. It's going to be free. Don't worry about it. We have plenty of money. My ancient ancestors hid their treasure here, but it's okay with me, and I'm not looking for money." And then he says, "And I hope to see you inside." And then before he's able to say off, he leaves an evil smile like heh heh heh. And that lets you know that the fat guy is evil before you go into the ride. Even Yuji pops up and says like, "Oh, that sounds suspicious." Very suspicious. Let's go. There's something off. So we go in, we sit down. Really nice seats as well. Really cool. We sit down into the theater, and then the fat guy reveals himself to be evil. As he says, like, actually, I'm going to be feeding... What is this about a sorcerer school? That doesn't exist. I'm going to feed your cursed energy into my stuff because that's what we've been doing for ancient times into our family. And that's when Yuji, Nobara, and Megumi show up. I believe it's just... all 3 of them show up to save us, but then Nobara is the one who gets the hero's introduction, and she says, "I'm Nobara. I'm going to put a stop to you. Also, here's Yuji and Megumi." And they go like, why are you doing this? Why are you introducing us like we're side characters? So they fight it a little bit. And then eventually the fight ends up that all of us... So it's absorbing cursed spirit, and it's also absorbing our cursed spirit as like things are going on, because they say like everyone in the audience has a lot of cursed spirit. We fall through a cave, and then that's when we get to meet Toto, Toto is there, which I thought was very funny. He had a flashlight on him, and then I didn't realize it was just his phone. He's like, "Oh yes, hello, everyone, I hope you're safe. You fell through the cave, it's all right, we're gonna get through this." And then that's when it reveals the cursed spirit that's living underneath. And the cursed spirit, and everyone starts attacking it. And this is also the part where a lot of people gets to do their special attacks. So the way that they do the 4D experience is that the characters, they do their special attack, but the way that they do their special attack is that they jump in front of the screen, And then they do their attack. Like for Nobara, she shows up in front of it, and then she does her little 3 nails. For Megumi, he summons up the divine dogs. I believe he uses one of them to save us at one point. Yuji later on gets to do a black flash, which is really sick because when he does the black flash, all the screen goes completely dark as he does 2 of them, which must have been very confusing for anyone who did not know JJk like my sister, because he just goes black flash, and then like he does 2 of them in a row against them as everything goes dark and like critically hits them. We also get to see Toto do the boogie woogie as well. This is before certain events, so he has both arms still. I assume he's also calling Yuji his brother, so it has to be in a very specific middle area where all 3 of them are still kind of together, which is a shame because I really wish there was more of this actual, like, it was cool to see just because if you don't know JJk very well, in JJk eventually these 3 kind of like stop being a team for a very long time. And it comes at a time where all you want to do is see more of them. If we were back in the old Naruto days with the 100 filler, there would be some filler where we got some more adventures of it. So that's what this kind of feels like to me. It's definitely a filler, kind of like quick, fun little thing that you get to see more of the characters interact with each other and do all that stuff. But so that was cool. So yeah, Toto eventually, after he warns us about the cursed spirit, it turns out it's behind us. The other 3 fall down, which is really funny because first Yuji falls down and then Megumi falls down to the side of him and he lands on his feet, and then Obara lands exactly on top of him and says like, "Oh, that was pretty rough." And then he goes, "Oh man, can you please get off me? This sucks." So then they all start fighting it, and they say like the best way for us to fight this thing is to just give it so much cursed energy that it basically just gorges himself. At some point they feed the fat guy to the cursed spirit as well. Toto does a boogie woogie, and then he switches places where it's about to eat him, and it eats him, and he goes like, "It's okay, he's still alive, so we have a time to destroy it and then probably save him, I guess," because they want to take him to jail. They eventually beat it. I think they beat it with the curse flash, as usually does. They hit him with like everything. Eventually they say like, let's just feed the fat boy and just give him so much cursed energy that he eventually gorges himself and he dies that way, and he does. And it looks like things are going to go pretty bad, and then Gojo shows up to save us, and he says, "Hey everyone, I just came back from Universal Studios Japan, and I wanted to see how everyone was doing." Everyone loves the line. Everyone pops for when Gojo shows up, because everyone's like, "Oh yeah, it's fucking Gojo. Let's fucking go." There was no way that they weren't going to show him. He's like The Rock in WrestleMania. Not this one. The previous WrestleMania, when he shows up and is like, "Yo, what's up? I'm here to like electrify." Everyone goes "ah" as they see him show up. They know it's fucking Gojo. The people who don't know Jujutsu Kaisen go like, "Holy shit, that's Gojo that I've heard about." And he has that insane wrestler aura as he shows up and just does something. And then the coolest part, which to me, again, I really did like seeing, I thought the Divine Dog was really cool, because when he does Divine Dog to save us, we get to see one of the Black Divine Dog up close. The Black Flash was really cool. And this is the part, so the cave is following in behind us, and we're gonna get put in a cave-in. So Gojo says, "Don't worry, I got this." And his solution is that he's going to do a hollow purple. So everything in the entire theater goes completely black as he does both forms of the hollow things to form the purple. And then he fucking blows the cave wide apart to the point where like you can see it like for miles, this giant fucking hole that he's created to save us. But in that theater, when he's doing Hollow Purple, it's so fucking cool. It's like, especially because it's like a 4D theater, shit's shaking around you. It's really cool. He shoots it off and he goes, "Oh man, that's great. You know what I want to do now? I want to go back to Universal Studios Japan." They do a very like a half. So Toto goes like, "Don't worry, I got Fat Boy. I'm gonna send him back. And be happy with yourself, brother. I'll see you later." And he goes off and he like carts off the little fat guy to go send him to Curse jail. So then the rest are like, "Man, what should we do?" And Gojo's like, "I got us season passes to Universal Studios Japan." And everyone goes, "Yeah!" And they all walk off to go to Universal Studios Japan together.
He also addresses the crowd. He's like, "Whoa, you guys are pretty strong."
Yeah, he does. He addresses the crowd. He says, "Wow, you guys are pretty strong." He puts us over. Um, and that's the end of the 4D experience. And I thought it was fucking great. So obviously, in terms, if you're looking for a specific like theme park ride, it's obviously not an actual like roller coaster, one of those type of you go around. It's you sit in the theater, stuff happens to you, characters talk. But I always enjoy those kind of things because as long as they're well done, it's a good way to sit down and kind of enjoy it. And the crowd definitely, I feel like, enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a whole bunch. I thought it was a lot of fun getting to see this again, especially as someone who'd never thought that we would be able to see this. Because I wasn't able to go to Japan to see this. I was always like, man, that really sucks. Like, the best I can do is, like, up until today at FanFest, the best I could do was watch a bootleg cam recording, which is what I did for Chainsaw Man. And it doesn't have the same feeling when you're not in the theater and shit's flying at you and things are shaking, right? So I thought it was really cool. I never asked my sister how she thought of it because she wasn't a JJk fan. She is an anime fan, but not a fan of. She hasn't caught any new anime stuff. But at the end of it, she was asking me, "What is Jujutsu Kaisen about?" So I said, "Oh man, so okay." And I tried to explain it to her the best I could. And I said, "You should really check it out. I think you'd like it a whole bunch. I really like it. One of my definite favorite of the new ones, regardless of how it ends up ending." In how it ended up ending in the manga and the fallout from that as we all still recover from it. Point is, still one of my favorite series. My brother, boy, how did you like it? You're also someone who doesn't really know much about JJK, but you're really more into like the meme side of JJK.
How did I feel about it?
Yeah,
I'll get a little closer so people can hear me.
go ahead.
I think it was pretty good. I think it set out to do what I expected a 4D experience of Jujutsu Kaisen would go. And like I said, I don't really know much of the people, but I did know the main three and Panda, but Panda wasn't there, and Gojo.
Yeah.
I know a little bit about Toto, but I didn't know the extent of who Toto was. Mm-hmm. I didn't know about the Boogie Woogie. I knew about the schizophrenia.
Yeah, unfortunately they didn't have his schizophrenia out in display, but they did get to do the Boogie Woogie.
Yeah.
Which is probably pretty funny because, again, if you don't know much about JJK, this guy shows up and says Boogie Woogie, and then he claps his hands and stuff starts happening. It would have been interesting to see someone go like, okay, I guess he can just do that.
Yeah.
Okay, but there you go. That's from someone who didn't really know much about JJK. Yeah, so I thought it was really nice. I really hope that eventually I would really like them to do a lot of the other ones. Like, obviously, Demon Slayer has 2 rides, I believe. One of them is like a weird interactive kind of like you put on goggles and stuff goes around you ride, but the other one is a theater ride. Chainsaw Man has one. Almost every single one of them has them. I even wouldn't mind if it was other Shonen Jump stuff. Like, when I was looking this up, when I looked to see what other things had, like, I went to go see, thankfully, there's a Sailor Moon site here who documented everything. This is what they did they did one for Sailor Moon. And the Sailor Moon stuff looks rad. Look at this food. Look at this tuxedo mask-ass burger.
Mysterious burger.
The mysterious burger. Like, the full going out with it. And I don't even think we would probably get this level of it, because obviously a lot of it is also really, it takes a really good picture. I don't know how it would taste. I'm sure it would taste fine.
We got pretty close with the One Piece Cantina, mostly because of the Devil Fruit Concha.
Yes. So that's the next part. So we actually went after that. We went to go get food. I got Jujutsu Kaisen. I got the Yuji brownie and the Nobara. It's like, I forget what hers is called, but it's like the slushy. It's both sweet and it's also spicy because they put some spicy thing, chamoy around the side of the cup. And then what did you get from One Piece?
I ended up getting the Nico Robin tea
and
a Jujutsu Kaisen. You got me the Sukuna mouth cookie, which I gave to our mother, and I went back and I got the Megumi churros.
Yes, the Megumi churros. And then our sister got from One Piece what tacos from?
Birria tacos.
Which one?
They're just birria tacos.
Okay, I thought they didn't have the name of someone on them.
No, she just got the regular birria tacos.
What? Oh my god, I was about to talk about the Luffy tacos and just to learn that they even got...
Luffy doesn't got tacos.
They had
Sanji had a chicken platter. Luffy had ribs, which was his meat on a bone.
Yeah.
Frankie had the soda tacos. And I believe there was nothing for Usopp. And Nabi also had a drink.
That would make a lot.
And Tony Chopper was a cupcake.
Yeah. But also a lot of the food had been sold out by the time you guys got there.
Yeah, I couldn't get the concha.
Yeah, the concha had unfortunately been sold out, which is unfortunate. But apparently a lot of the other food had also kind of been sold out, which makes it sounds like a success to me. If they're like, it's like midnight and people were still lining up to go get food from there, and they were running out of food. Like, that sounds like they did really well from it. In terms of how did it taste, how was your tea?
It was very refreshing in that it felt very natural. I don't know how you say this if you don't drink tea, but it's very fresh tasting, and I really enjoyed it. But maybe if I had the chance, I would have also wanted to try the Nami drink. They come topped with vegetables. I tried to eat the aloe vera on top of it. They didn't let me.
Yeah, we
I ate the raspberries though.
Yeah. Mine also came with a strawberry, and I think I tried to eat... What did I try? No, that was also in...
Try to eat the mint.
Yeah, over in Nintendo Land, we had the...
Yoshi.
The Yoshi food, and I was going to eat the mint, and then my sister immediately stopped me, and I said, don't do that.
Garnish.
It's a garnish, and I said, is that edible? He's like, no, and then I said... what's the point? What is a garnish? Why are you putting edible things in my food? But whatever. In terms of my food, I really liked the Yuji brownie. I thought it was very good. It looks almost exactly like Yuji, almost as if someone hit him with a cursed technique that turned him into a little brownie. The drink from Nobara was okay. The problem is that a lot of like the spicy part of it was on the rim of the drink. It wasn't actually inside the drink. So when you had the drink normal, it was just like a regular smoothie, and that's fine. So it was all right. The Yuji one I definitely really like. I ended up liking the Yoshi Yoshi drink more the most out of all of them because
What about your Yoshi pasta?
Yoshi pasta was also pretty good. Yoshi pasta wasn't too bad, and that taco that I had from my sister was also good. But that wasn't a themed One Piece taco.
No, you didn't get the Frankie Cola barbacoa.
No, unfortunate. I would have liked it. And yeah, and that was basically the end of it, and that was the end of FanFest for the most part. I thought it was a very cool time. How'd you enjoy your time there?
I had fun.
Yeah.
It was a bit hectic just at the beginning because it was a mad dash to try and catch Yoshi.
Yeah.
Mostly because they closed Nintendo Land earlier than any other part of the park. And we are very lucky that we got the food reservations when we did, because one thing we left out is that they basically closed everything down around FanFest, except for the rides, minus Transformers. But you couldn't like go to Panda Express, which is there. You couldn't go to the Jurassic Cafe. Your best bet is getting any of the FanFest foods, which is One Piece, Star Trek, Back to the Future, and Nintendo Land with the Toadstool Cafe.
Yeah, but then that land closes early, and that's one of the very few places that actually is like a full-on food.
Also, it's a reservation.
Yeah, that you have to reserve to get in there. And if you've never been inside there, it's also really cool. But yeah, we got very lucky in like a lot of the timing things early on. And that helped us out throughout the rest of the night. Because we ended up leaving around midnight something, and it was going to be open, for 2 more hours?
Till 2.
Yeah, so we could have seen absolutely everything if we were...
Except for Back to the Future, probably.
Yeah, I think if we wanted to go to Back to the Future, we would have had to have gone to the tram ride as soon as we got off of The Simpsons. But the problem is that the tram ride, it takes a really long time, and it sounds like it's one of those things where you're going to have to walk. And if you've never been to Universal Studios, there's a fucking mountain in the tram ride. So you go all the way down, and the idea of me having to walk a whole buttload after I'm already really tired would have likely killed us before we even got a chance to go home. So it is what it is. It is a shame we missed out. It would have been cool to see, but Maybe another time. I really do hope that they end up doing... And yeah, that was FanFest. I really do hope that they do more of this. It's really cool that they were actually able to bring over some stuff. I would like to see Chainsaw Man or Demon Slayer for Horror Nights in some kind of way.
For the 4D experience?
Yeah, I think I think Demon Slayer might be too intense for the day-to-day. Obviously, in Japan, it's different,
So
right?
is Chainsaw Man.
Chainsaw Man 100% is, which is why Chainsaw Man was relegated to Horror Nights, because they're like, listen, man, we read the manga, we've read what they've been up to. We can't, in good consciousness, put this out in public display during the day, but during night, that fits. Like, okay, that's fair. Demon Slayer, I think, works for them just because they love Demon Slayer so much, they'll see it in the day, similar to Attack on Titan. But for us over here, like, you bring your kid over and you're like, this is Demon Slayer, let me go send them to the Demon Slayer experience. Oh my god!
There's just a bunch of decapitations everywhere.
There's a lot of decapitations, and it's like, I don't know what's going on. So I think for that, I think it would be fit better for either a FanFest setting or Horror Nights. But I really hope that this is a sign good enough for them to be like, hey, let's bring over some more Shonen Jump stuff. Maybe we can look to get those properties and stuff like that, because that's something that Disney just can't get, right?
That's something they can't understand either.
No, it's two completely different things, and if they really want, I honestly think the thing that will probably they need to look for something to replace Simpsons soon enough, right? I think it would make sense to try and do Nintendo Land stuff, but if they want to keep it to Nintendo Land specific, they're gonna have to buy that golf course, which from what I understand after looking it up, after we talked about it when we were there, they are looking to buy the golf course nearby to expand the park, just because they're running out of space there to put stuff. They're putting like the Vin Diesel ride to the like when you're going
down the escalator.
While you're going down the escalators, if you look to your left, you'll see a fucking roller coaster ride right near you. I was like, holy shit, I didn't know it was this close.
No, it's almost done.
Yeah, it's almost done too.
The facade that needs to be finished.
Yeah, just the facade needs to be finished, but it's crazy to see. So, they could look and probably replace it with them. They could do One Piece, just because One Piece, thanks to the live action, is getting a little bit more notice from people who normally wouldn't pay attention to a lot of anime. Just because it's like, I don't want to see the kid cartoon or read the kid cartoon book, but they're like, I'll watch a TV show on Netflix. That sounds great, and that's enough to bring them in. And if that's the cost that it would take to get like actual rides from Shonen Jump stuff over here, I'm willing to take it. Yeah, but we'll see how it goes. If anything, I hope they do more FanFest just so we can see more things from them.
Pretty sure FanFest is a success.
I would think so too, because it really was a little bit of everything for everyone. There was enough things for Shonen Jump stuff people. There was enough stuff for film fan people. Like, even on we didn't get to go see it because of the Back to the Future stuff, but they had people, like, filming in the Back to the Future area.
Yeah.
And that shit is, like, sick, honestly.
And we never got on the Star Trek one, but I also heard good things about the Star Trek experience.
Yes, I also heard good things about the Star. If we had not been so tired, I think we would have probably been able to go on and check it out. But it was a lot more moving around, and I was feeling dead already by that time of the night. But yeah. And that brings an end to Shonen Archive Gaiden. That was my experience over in FanFest. If you ever have the time for FanFest, and also most importantly, the actual extra cash to go experience it yourself.
Well, it's getting, it's only a couple nights, but maybe there will be a second one.
Yeah, when they do a second one, if you can ever figure out and justify a way to go do it, I would suggest go doing it. Maybe they'll do it at the Florida one pretty soon.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
They're opening an entire theme park.
Oh, yeah, that's true. They're doing the universes.
They're doing, their newest theme park.
Yeah. There's one opening up in Nevada that's...
And, they're opening up the Horror Nights experience in Las Vegas.
Yeah, we need to look into go doing that at some point.
Well, we'll look into it.
We'll look into it.
It's nearing the release time, but...
Yeah, but we wouldn't be able to go there right at release.
I feel like we have to wait a year.
Yeah, maybe, just to have it be a little bit but yeah, we'll figure it out. But anyway, that's the end of Shonen Archive Gaiden, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. My brother who showed up here at the end, me here. And now it's time to do the Shonen Archive sign-off, so There's actually someone here with me, so I can shoot my brother instead. Alright, boy. Say goodbye.
Goodbye.
挙式紫